What's going on, my toxic BBC gamers? What the hell is going on? Apparently they're saying that the pre-orders ended up getting leaked for GTA 6. We're hearing about the 60 FPS PSR update, and we also got the Take-Two clip, which I want to show you guys here with Strauss Zelnick. You don't have to like the video, you don't even have to subscribe. Guys, take your right hand, take your left hand, just send a prayer out, man, for everything that's going on in the world right now. May we get to play the game when it comes out, man. Yeah, hopefully the world's not gonna end before November the 19th, and hopefully this game is not gonna get delayed. Bruh. And prayers out for everybody all around, all right? But first of all, check this. Roll it. Let's talk about the greatest entertainment vehicle of all time. Is that definitely?
I think that's true, yes.
Right? There's nothing that comes near it. When I got the earnings, the first thing I did was go and check the date. Yeah. Because I know that you're not going to release something until it's perfect, and I wanted to be sure that this November date is still good.
Right, November 19th.
Now, how do you know? How do you know it's going to be ready that day?
Well, because we actually obviously track the progress daily of everything that we do. And we also announced that we have marketing beats coming this summer, and we don't spend money on marketing until we're pretty close to release.
Yeah. Do you really need to spend money on marketing on what I think is one of the greatest word-of-mouth products in history?
We do. I think there's a difference between awareness and energy, and we need to create the energy. We do have.
Yeah, he's right though, because right now, yeah, the hype is pretty much non-existent, right? For me and for a lot of people. I mean, we're kind of like waiting. We're in like the hibernation period, and truth be told though, perhaps like a month before, a week before the game comes out, that's when the hype will return. That's the assumption here. But yeah, the word is there. I mean, everybody knows about this game, right? And everybody always talks about this game. We're doing it right now as well. I mean, right? But hopefully it's not gonna get delayed. Then we're gonna actually have a real fa moment. But yeah, it needs the energy, it needs the hype, it needs and the way that can be done is by dropping videos about the game, you know?
The awareness, the anticipation is huge. It's bigger than ever before. But in our business, you do have to tell people what's coming, and our consumers want to know that this is going to be great, and they want to see what the visuals look like. It is a challenge because we want the product to be authentically owned by our consumers, and so the marketing has to be delicate. It has to feel like, you know, this is real. This is not, we're not selling hamburgers. We're selling this unique art form.
Now, so now let's actually get down to Uncle Mr. Boss for the win, okay? He back! He who must not be named, he back! Let's see.
We just got some huge breaking news, and it looks like Grand Theft Auto 6 pre-orders could start soon. I'll be telling you what's going on and more all in this video too.
Is it, dude? Trust me, bro. Let's find out. But truth be told, though, I've seen like a lot of people actually talk about it, and a lot of reputable accounts are talking about the pre-orders. So let's see. I mean, eventually, like the pre-orders gotta come in, right? You know what I'm saying? Eventually, right? Eventually.
Today. So an account on social media called PlayStation Game Size, which really specializes on focusing on when games and their back-end data are added to PlayStation stores, put out this post just a few hours ago. Grand Theft Auto 6 title IDs have been added to the PlayStation database. I expect we'll see something about the game soon.
Oh my God.
Probably the start of pre-orders. So that is absolutely massive. Now, before we dive into the significance of that, as things currently stand, nothing has changed. Rockstar's website has not gotten an update. There hasn't been a new mysterious trailer dropped. Nothing on the newswire. And if you go to both the Grand Theft Auto 6 page on the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X and S, there's been no update there either. So everything that's been done is completely on the back end. Now, the same account ended up responding to two questions that were
looks like it is nigh. It is nigh.
Asked. Someone said, I'm not familiar with this. In your experience, usually, if you can see the title IDs added to database, how long do developers reveal the prices? And they said, to be honest, it completely depends on the publisher. And it's not something I know for sure, but I don't think there's going to be a long wait.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna charge people hundreds of dollars for this game. You know, there have been rumors that said that GTA 6 is gonna be $150. Yeah, there's no way they're gonna do 150. Could you imagine if it's like 150? Bro, people gonna lose their mind. Yeah, tons of people still gonna buy it, right? But people gonna hate buy the game or be hyped. People gonna be mixed. People gonna have mixed emotions, right? People gonna hate it. People also gonna love it. But people still gonna buy it though. You know, you feel what I'm saying? So yeah, cannot see it 150. Yeah, 100 seems kind of possible, but not really. $80 seems very possible, but I think it's gonna be $70 because they know for the fact that this game is gonna sell like hotcakes. So and the goal would be to get most amount of players possible, not just for like single player, but for online. You know, because that's where the real money's gonna be at. You know, and sure, truth be told though, I can see them up the prices for microtransactions and upping the microtransactions by times 10, then upping the price even by $10. That means going from $70 to $80 or, you know, $100. So yeah, no, I don't think the game would be more than 70. I think the game would be $70. But yeah, make no mistake, man, those microtransactions gonna be greedy AF, man. They're gonna get greedy AF about this game. So
this isn't like a set formula. When A happens, B happens 3 to 5 days later. It all depends on the publisher and the developer, which, as we know, Take-Two Interactive and Rockstar Games are slightly fickle, so it might not necessarily be something that's happening instantaneously. Now, that will actually reveal the price.
Mr. Obvious, right? But make no mistake, though, the game is likely gonna have like a $100 collection edition. You know, the game is probably gonna have like a $200 collector's edition too, you know, the physical edition, right? So I do believe that the game is likely gonna have the most expensive edition. That might be $200, that might be $250, that might be $300 or $350. You know, it could be any price, but the standard price is probably gonna be $70 plus taxes. Cannot forget taxes though. So
of the game, which I know is something that a lot of fans were looking forward to knowing for many of reasons, because it could be the most expensive video game of all time, how much money they're going to need to save in order to purchase it, what version of the game they're going to be getting. And speaking of that, someone ended up asking what most likely means is different editions like Standard, Ultimate, etc. being ready, and he kind of clarified that different title IDs mean different regions. All editions will use the same title ID. So even though that doesn't tell us there's going to be multiple editions of the game, knowing Rockstar and
yeah, like guys, like, let's be honest here, let's be objective here. This game doesn't come out every year, okay? This is it. If it's trash, that's it. It's not like we're gonna get GTA 7 tomorrow, so they're gonna have to cash in on this bad boy big time. And the last one I remember had a hat, and it had like the collector's edition. It also had the blueprint map, I remember. I in fact got that. I remember getting the collector's edition for GTA 5, and yeah, no, I was 17 years old at that time, and now I'm pushing 30. Pushing 30. We're hearing about WW3. We're hearing about, you know, aliens coming in. We're hearing about the alien baddies, UFOs files, and all that, and the stuff that is happening right now. I mean, holy smokers, it ain't no dang joke. Cause I gotta show you guys this video too, and quickly I gotta take a second to shout out, especially Annie, for becoming a brand new member on the channel. The homie Slim Pickens for 6 months. The homie Jima for the 3 months membership. The Marilina Effect for the new membership. The homie Craig for 7 months. The homie Greg, thank you guys so much for all the love on the channel, man. Mark, Paper Trolls, Aphrodite, Sean, Jericho, creator's favorite Sean. Yeah, let me just go haywire real quick and shout all of you guys out there. Thank you guys seriously so much for all the love. Like, this is way too much. I don't deserve it. You know, we've been doing gaming videos for decades and decades on the channel, right? A decade plus, and then and now we started to branch out, and we cover basically not everything, but we obviously cover like conspiracies, the real world news, still covering gaming stuff, right? And I still wanted the homie Chris with the tier 100 chat. I still want to cover like gaming stuff, obviously GTA 6 to be specific, because everything else is not really that exciting. Maybe the next Wolverine game, right? You know, you feel what I'm saying? But yeah, no, but thank you guys so much, seriously, for all the love on the channel, for supporting the channel the way you do, man. And that's me as well. A shout out to me for 86 months. I mean, and the homie Southern for 51 months. But all right, let's get back to the content here. Boo Boo, check this.
What they've done in the past with their last few releases, there's going to be multiple versions of the game: a standard edition, a premium edition, a collector's edition, and with these pre-orders we'll also likely be able to find out what some of those bonuses will be for paying a upcharge price for the title. So like I mentioned earlier, on the Xbox and PlayStation 5 right now there's only a wish list page, which is essentially a temporary concept placeholder with artwork and screenshots and stuff like that. Title IDs are basically the final back-end product codes that enable full official store pages with pre-orders, prices, editions, etc. So we are getting much...
Yeah, okay, let's actually get to the 60 FPS talk. Yeah, what the hell is going on right now, Rolls?
Alright, something dropped literally yesterday that sent me down a rabbit hole I wasn't planning on going down. Sony just officially announced that the PS5 Pro is getting a major upgrade to its PSSR technology, and that stands for PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution. And the results that people are already seeing in the new Resident Evil are genuinely stunning, like hair rendering as individual strands, textures that hold up in ways they just didn't before.
So this is old, this is new. I mean, to my console player, Sony Pony peasant eyes, bro, it's kind of looking the same. I mean, yeah, surely there's better texture here, better here, but you can achieve that by simply like upping the sharpness on your monitor, bro. Like quite literally. You don't have to buy like a PS5 Pro for that one. Now, if it turns out that GTX 6 is 30 FPS on the normal PS5 and it's 60 FPS on PS5 Pro, then yeah, okay, I can see, right? 60 FPS is always gonna be better though, but
it really looks incredible, and the moment I saw it, my brain did what it always does, and I went straight to GTA 6. Because now we've got this upgraded, upscaling technology rolling out as GTA 6 is approaching launch. And it also made me think of an existing leak that I covered a few months ago from insider Detective Seeds, claiming that Rockstar has already been hitting 60 frames per second on the PS5 Pro in current builds. So today we're putting it all together, the new PSSR upgrade.
Now, if you know about Digital Foundry, they said it like it's been a year, more than a year, probably even 2-3 years at this point. Yeah, you know, but they said that if GTA 6 is not 60 FPS on the normal PS5, it's probably also not gonna be 60 FPS on the PS5 Pro, depending on the CPU, because it's almost the same CPU, right? The specs are almost the same. Yeah, surely it's better, tiny bit better on PS5 Pro, but it's tiny bit, it's not a major difference. It seems like that they are purposely withholding some features, right? They can clearly put this feature on the normal PS5, but they're choosing to put it on PS5 Pro, so it feels a lot more premium. So if the people that got PS5 Pro, they feel like that they got something out of it. Meanwhile, this could have been on the PS5, so it's them that are withholding features, not necessarily that, hey, PS5 Pro is so much better than the normal PS5. Yeah, it's surely better, tiny bit better, but it's tiny bit, it's not like a massive difference.
60 FPS league and kind of the pushback that some people had against Detective Seeds. And then to tie it all together, I want to talk about what we should actually expect when GTA 6 is in your hands. So before we get into the GTA 6 specifics,
when it's in my hands, not gonna play with my hand, then, you know, big pause. We're gonna play the game.
Let me quickly explain what just happened with PSSR, because if you don't follow the technical side of things, this context is going to matter. PSSR is the AI upscaling technology that Sony built specifically for the PS5 Pro. The way it works is games run at a lower native resolution internally, and then PSSR analyzes the image pixel by pixel and uses an AI neural network to intelligently upscale it to a higher output resolution. And when it's done well, the results look sharper and cleaner than native rendering would. And at the same time, it's costing less processing power. It's Sony's version of what Nvidia has DLSS and AMD has FSR for PC. The original version of PSSR launched with the PS5 Pro in late 2024. And it was fine, it worked, and it improved over 50 games. But at the same time, it had limitations. Fine details, hair, complex textures, these were hard to upscale cleanly. You would see artifacts and softness in certain areas. What just changed is significant. Sony announced an upgraded version of PSSR, which takes a very different approach to not only the neural network, but also the overall algorithm. The new Resident Evil is the first title to use this more advanced PSSR, helping to both keep frame rate and image quality high. Okay, so that's the context. It's a better and smarter upscaling system that's landing on PS5 Pro right as GTA 6 is gearing up to release later this year. So now let's go back a few months ago and talk about what Detective Seeds actually claimed. According to his source, allegedly a verified PlayStation engineer, well, they said Rockstar and Sony are directly collaborating on optimization for the PS5 Pro version of GTA 6. Specifically, Sony engineers are actively assisting Rockstar with low-level optimization in current build, and in current build, 60 frames per second is being achieved on PlayStation 5 Pro. And apparently the PS5 Pro version will launch with multiple graphic modes. And they also claim that this optimization is tied to a broader marketing deal between Rockstar and Sony. Now,
it does make sense though, because like PlayStation has an exclusive marketing rights with the a Rockstar, or Rockstar has it with Sony, or Sony has it with Rockstar. Rockstar got it with PlayStation, right? Same thing, different kind of bull squash, right? But yeah, no, so I can see that. But then, what about Xbox? What about Series X? What about Xbox Series S? And what about PC? Yeah, surely it's gonna be 100 billion FPS on PC whenever it comes out. But the question is, when is it gonna come out on PC, man? And yeah, so probably a year later, maybe 2 years later, give or take, right? You also gotta factor in GTA 6 Online. Most likely that's gonna drop after the release, right? Maybe a month later, a couple months later, and that is perfectly fine. I guess most people would be fine, and I think that really is a good idea, though, to get the game out first and let people enjoy and play single player, get familiar with the map, explore the game, play the game, and that is, honest to God, though, that's gonna be better, right? Because I personally want to get the game for single player, and then you can dive in the online and you can live through that same kind of bull squash that we had in GTA 5. How are they gonna innovate it? That time will tell us for sure. But in terms of 60 FPS, yeah, so if it's 60 FPS on the PS5 Pro, it can be 60 FPS on PS5. And if it can be 60 FPS on PS5, it 110% can be 60 FPS on Xbox Series X. Perhaps not the Series S, okay? Perhaps for that one, it gotta be like 720, 15 FPS or something. Yeah, exactly, right? So yeah, for that one. But it needs to be 60 FPS though. You know, if it's 60 FPS on the PS5 Pro but not on the PS5, they are withholding the feature because the PS5 Pro specs aren't that crazy better than the normal PS5, and this is not my opinion. This is what Digital Foundry also said. I'm not sure about now though. It's been a minute since, because I'm kind of like a retired gamer, so I'm not like 100% like keeping up with all the numbers that are coming out about about PS5 and PS5 Pro, but that's what they said when PS5 Pro was coming out. But let's continue.
Detective Seeds isn't nobody. He's built up credibility in the PlayStation.
Bomba.
He's a nobody. Come on, man. Damn. Okay, I know, out of context. Guys, I know. Out of context.
Marketing deal between Rockstar and Sony. Now, Detective Seeds isn't nobody. He's built up credibility in the PlayStation leak space over time and has gotten things right before. But I also want to be real with you. An alleged PlayStation engineer as a source is a very specific and very difficult claim to verify. And the 60 FPS number is specifically the part that raises the most eyebrows. Because here's the thing. As exciting as this would be, no Rockstar open world game has ever launched at 60 frames per second on console. GTA 5 launched at 30 frames per second. Red Dead Redemption 2 also launched at 30 frames per second.
And we're still waiting for RDR2 60 FPS. And I only have 1 hour in RDR2. I know. It's just that I'm not finding time. I've heard great things about it. Obviously, the game is amazing. I played 1 hour off it, but and I want to play it. But over the years, it's an excuse. But one of the thing that I'm waiting for is 60 FPS update to be able to play the game fully. I guess I can get on PC and 60 FPS play that way. Yeah, it's just an excuse, honestly, though, but I need to play that game eventually, right? Eventually.
Second, even GTA 5's expanded next-gen version on PS5 only hit 60 FPS through a specific performance mode that made visual trade-offs. So the idea that GTA 6, a game that is technically more demanding than anything Rockstar has built before launching at 60 FPS natively, is a genuinely enormous claim to make. Now here's where it gets more interesting, because Richard Ledbetter from Digital Foundry, one of the most respected technical analysts in the games industry.
That's who I was talking about. Yeah, they did make that claims, but again, though, it wasn't necessarily a claim. It was more like an educated guess, so I want to be very clear with that. So they were guessing based off of the tech and the specs of the PS5 and PS5 Pro. They said if it cannot be 60 FPS on the PS5, it's likely not going to be 60 FPS on the PS5 Pro because it's not that big of a difference.
Pushed back on this pretty directly. And his arguments are grounded in real hardware limitations that are worth understanding. The core of his point is that the PS5 Pro upgraded the GPU specifically and improved memory bandwidth, but the processor that handles all the heavy lifting simulation work is essentially the same as the base PS5. And why does that matter so much for GTA 6 specifically?
Okay, so that's the last she wrote. That's the last I heard, which was like ages ago. So I guess they're still sticking with that claim currently as well. Okay, not good to know, or I mean bad to know. I want the game to being 60 FPS on PS5.
Specifically. Because what makes GTA games technically demanding isn't just rendering pretty graphics. It's the world, hundreds of NPCs with individual AI routes, dynamic traffic systems across a map, real-time weather effects, and police AI tracking you across a large area. All of that CPU work, all of that simulation, that's what pushes GTA games to their performance limits, not the GPU rendering the visuals. Okay, so now we've heard both sides, let's just get straight to what you should actually expect walking into launch day. My guess is base PS5 and Xbox Series X almost certainly will hit 30 frames per second. That's what Rockstar's entire presentation history suggests and what the hardware reality supports. It'll be smooth, it'll be beautiful, but I am calling it's gonna be 30 frames per second. PS5 Pro default mode also likely 30 frames per second, but with noticeably better visuals. Stuff like better rate.
Honestly though, why don't they, which is something I guess they're gonna do, but I don't know if they're gonna do, quite literally. Yeah, I'm contradicting myself there, because listen, man, we talking video games, and nowadays, bro, I don't know what's up with these damn companies, man. But yeah, you can have like native resolution 4K 60 FPS or 30 FPS, and then you can have, you know, yeah, a little lower on the textures, you know, and maybe not ultra quality for the textures. You can have high, right? And yeah, have 60 FPS dynamic, or can have 4K dynamic resolution too, which would be, I guess, the 1080p or the 1440p upscaled to 4K. So not necessarily native, but upscaled version with 60 FPS. So they can make like a dynamic, they can give that option and people can select what they want. I think that would be beautiful, because I do know some people want the max graphics and they would be fine with the 30 FPS, but others like me, yeah, I want to actually play at 60 FPS though. But we're talking GTA, right? It's an open world game. I know, gonna contradict myself here, but that's a fact too, right? It's not Call of Duty or an FPS game where you gotta have 60 FPS, where it's a must, because otherwise it's yeah, you know, FPS games are different, third-person story games are different too. So in this game, 30 FPS can fly, but 60 FPS is always gonna be better. Let's be objective here. Meanwhile, I'm making this video in 30 FPS, so
God.
Ray tracing, higher resolution output thanks to the upgraded PSSR. Also better draw distance, sharper image quality, and if you're playing on a PS5 Pro, you're definitely going to be getting the best looking version of the same experience. PS5 Pro Performance Mode. This is where it can get really interesting. A 60 FPS mode with some trade-offs is very much on the table. Whether Rockstar chooses to ship one is their call, but the hardware can get there with compromises, and the new PSSR mode makes those compromises smaller than they would have been 6 months ago. Now here's my honest take. I'm not holding my breath for native 60 FPS as the default GTA 6 experience on day one. Rockstar has never done that before on console. The CPU constraints.
So we're gonna keep expectations low. Did you see this like alien UFO video that is going around? Yeah, man, if you have not seen it, bro, this is probably one of the craziest video that is going around right now. Check out this video on the screen and I'll see you right there.